The stagnant stench of waste and the past burnt fuel lingers in the air, clinging low to the ground in the vast pit. 1,000 putrid piles of trash, ancient and forgotten, have been left here, spread across the crater's surface, some rusted and cracked like decomposing gravel, others corroding on the inside and exhuming noxious fumes into the dark sky. Deep inside wreckage halls, leaning against one of these piles, lies an abandoned doll. Oh, it was loud. Ooh. Wait. I turned it up. Alright, here we go. She has been here for who knows how long. Let's see. I just lost my spot. Okay, start over. She has been here for who knows how long. Not even she knows. She probably doesn't know anything in their current state. The doll's eyes are hollow and a deep black, in a way that no living thing could have. Eyes that reaffirm all lack of perception or awareness. She sits here, motionless, gathering dust and dirt from the powder wind and the sludge rain. Already in spots, a thick coating of waste has gathered and solidified, marring her wooden visage. Her arms, limp and half buried in the soft dirt, seem to have remained unused for so long, hardly capable of doing much of anything, even before she was discarded in this place, when her strings were cut loose. For so long she has been used to the strings tied around her neck and binding her hands, pulling her along with no regard or care for her intentions or wishes. As a doll, she would have had it no other way. But now she was wholly inert with freedom. And so, time passed. And passed. And passed. The trash surrounding her ruffled and moved around, planking and falling apart as something made its way through it, getting closer and closer to her. No living thing had disturbed her since she arrived here. Rats and mice passed by her, sniffing around for food, and bugs seemed to completely ignore her. As the sounds got louder and louder, something eventually emerged out of the trash piles. Before her was a green pile of slimy, half-transparent sludge, moving around and shifting its unclear shape as it wobbled. It moved in slow bursts, seemingly pulling its own weight around, displacing the dirt and waste beneath it. It moved closer to the doll, and slowly it started shifting as a semi-humanoid figure rose out of the sludgy pool, redirecting the whole body mass around until it took shape, sitting there on its knees with messy half-legs drooping and flowing into the ground. As it rose, it turned to face the doll and moved closer to it, reaching out for her face with its droopy green arm. So pretty. At that moment, something stirred within the doll as she rose to consciousness. Huh? Oh. The slime pulled its arm back, surprised by the sudden noise, but the doll remained motionless. It closely inspected her before speaking again. Are you alive? Awake? I am? Well, you're a doll? Yes. What are you? I'm a slime. Ah. What are you doing out here anyway? This doesn't feel like a place where a cute doll like you should be. It's all just trash and dirt. I was left here. Oh. Were you abandoned? Yes. I'm sorry. It's horrible. I was born here, in the mud and waste. I haven't known any other place in my life. But it must be nice out there. Yes, I suppose so. You don't seem capable of moving. You've just kind of been sitting here. Well, there, completely still. I can't move by my own volition. I'm a doll. Oh, that sounds horrible. It's not. But it's okay. I have no wish to move. It's nothing for me to do, or see, or desire. Is there really nothing you wish to do? What did you like doing before you ended up here? I don't know. Not particularly. I like to be with my owner and do what she wanted to do. Suppose I liked when she read. She sit by my side and I got to listen to her stories and books she read out loud. Or I would just read them myself when I had the chance. So you like reading? Maybe. I don't know if it was the reading itself or just the experience I shared with her that I truly enjoyed. I've come across a lot of old books here, you know. Haven't kept any of them, but I could find some more if you wanted to. Me too. It's mostly newspapers and torn pages out of here, but people also discard completely intact books sometimes. Suppose I wouldn't mind. But you can do whatever you wish. Well, I think it could be fun. We could read something together. Though I'm not very good at reading, actually. Everything seems all jumbled up to me. But you can still read, right? When you like that? I suppose. That could be okay. Yeah, wait here. I'll quickly get some for us. Oh, sure. I won't go anywhere. Okay. The slime turned around and, dissolving back into an amorphous blob, started to crawl into the distance through the overwhelming waste, leaving a green, gelatinous trail in her wake. Gelatinous, I mean. A small jade drop slowly dripped down the doll's face, where she had been touched by the slime. The feel of someone else's touch felt so distant now, even if it had never been like this before. The doll counted drops as they fell on her leg, slow and sticky, and thus she passed the time, awaiting for the slime to come back. Hi. I'm back, and I got a couple of books. Welcome back. What did you find? Well, I'm not sure. I can't read the titles, but you could tell me. Hold them up for me, please. Let's see. So, these are school textbooks. They'll be about math and physiology, or philosophy, what I said before. They're not actual stories. Oh, I didn't realize. It's okay. Thank you for going through all the trouble of getting me these. I appreciate it a lot. Well, it wasn't any trouble. So I wish I had gotten you some real storybooks. I wanted to bring you something to make you happy, since you look so bored here. Oh, it's okay. You really don't have to worry about me. I'm just fine sitting here. Tell you what, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll bring lots of books. There'll be real stories for us to read together. I promise. Well, really want to. I suppose I wouldn't mind. Okay, great. It's planned then. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, wait. Does that mean you're leaving? Yeah, I want to start looking right away. It's getting dark, so I guess we wouldn't have been able to read much today anyway. Oh, okay. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. Okay, goodbye. Thank you for hanging out with me. Of course, it was fun. Bye now. This is really fun to talk to a doll like me. But the slime was already gone, too far to hear the doll's loathsome whisper. Now the doll was once again to be left with her trash, surrounded by and piled on to filthy eternity, lying there no different from her surroundings. She tried to move her limbs, first her useless legs and then her limp arms, to no avail. Her body would not budge, not even to just reach out in hope and longing. She keenly felt the stagnant air slowly flowing through her insides, hollow and wholly empty. She felt the dirt-caked joints across her body, and the faint wooden muscle shapes. She felt the lack of will and purpose permeating her hollow existence. She would have been able to move once, strengthen those traits, but those days were long past. She could never muster the willpower, energy, or ghost purpose here, independent of the laws of physicality. She wished she could crawl along the filthy ground, like a trash-eating maggot or centipede, thirsting for something, anything, as if fed for the first time in days and now wishing for more. She would follow that snail trail until her wasting body gave out in the sticky mud and crumbled on the spot, finally receiving an end to her strung along phantom life. For now, all she could do was the same as always, wait and hope not to think. Oh, hi. Oh, hello. I told you I'd come back. And I brought some books along. This time we're sure to have a good one. Yeah, you do have quite a few books. Thank you for going through all the effort. It's no problem. How are you feeling today? Feeling? I don't know how to answer that question. I'm sorry. Ooh, something in my eye. Ooh. Well, you know, I'm just existing here, same as every other day. We have shaken things up. I have to admit, I haven't talked to anyone else since I got here, and it was refreshing. Well, I'm glad to have someone to talk to as well. And we're gonna read, or you are. Never read or listened to someone read a book before. Exciting. Here they are. Which one would you like? The slime laid a series of books out on the ground in front of the doll. Can you tip my head down a bit? I can't quite read them well like this. Of course. Thank you. How about this one? Monster poetry. It's been so long since I read a poem. Oh yes, I've never read any. Here, I'll hold it up for you. The slime sat next to the doll, leaning into her, and holding the book up in front of both. Okay, let's flip to a random page, I suppose. Let's see. This one is called Malformed. I thought the human form to be malleable, a pile of skin, guts, and viscera, sitting atop a pedestal, awaiting knife and bone saw, shifting that will to change. And yet I find myself a malformed rock, surface shattered over stagnant sediment, overflowing strata piled on ancient wreckage, divided by broken connections and dead hierarchies. Though, I know that I'm having a brain fart. Let's see. Okay, so it's hierarchies. An obelisk devoid of reason, stagnant on the macrocellular level, budging for no will. Only its cracked clay visage asks of you to drive a wedge in. Only then will change be born. So strike true and split me asunder. What do you think of it? I'm not human, but I guess it's relatable, somewhat. You think so? I suppose. I'm not made out of flesh or bone, but instead hard wood, cut and molded into shape, hollow on the inside. I really can't be changed. Tried it before, but at the same time, I'm okay being like this. Just the way I am, the way I was made. If I try to change myself, I will only splinter or break. I'm a hollow vessel made to be filled with nothing but others' intents and wills. And I do my best to play that part. You don't think it's a bad idea then? No, I don't. Maybe the poem's author does, but I don't. I've come to realize that there's power and fulfillment in existing for others. Alone and by myself, I am nothing, hollow and empty and useless. But with someone, that emptiness becomes a vessel of opportunity to be filled and used. Alas, have been discarded and I have proven to be, after all, useless. I don't think you're useless. That's a knee-jerk sympathetic response to make me feel better. It's not actually taking into account what I just said. Apologies if that was a rude response, but I'm afraid you can't really dispute what I had said given my current situation. What if I were to fill you up then? What? Well, you're hollow, you can move on your own. See, I have no purpose like this, and I'm a slime and I can easily slide inside of you. I can make you move again. I don't know, I'm hollow, but I meant filling up thing metaphorically. And I don't know if this would actually work. Let me try then. Maybe prove you aren't useless. Okay. My body is open to you. Okay. The slime crawled on top of the doll, its upper torso face to face with the doll's, while its lower body dissolved over her sprawled out legs. The slime's arms wrapped themselves around the doll's, losing their semi-solid shape as their slimy form wrapped itself around the doll's limbs. What are you doing? What is this sensation? I'm just cleaning you up. Your body is covered in dust and grime, my body is sucking it all up. That's what slimes do. I might as well clean you, you know? The slime spread herself even more over the doll's body, almost entirely covering her torso and limbs. She pressed her chest and head on the doll's chest, deforming and melding into it. The amorphous shape shifted and moved about into place, sucking up the dirt on the doll's shell into its own trash pool body. Soon she would be crawling and sliding over a smooth, clean surface. I didn't realize you'd be able to feel sensations in your body like this. Now, of course I do. I have a sense of touch. I feel matter. I feel textures. I feel pain. There we go. All clean. Thank you. Now, time to go inside. Okay, go ahead. The slime wormed her way into the doll's inside at various joints throughout her body, becoming even more liquid-like. She bathed the doll's shoulders, knees, torso, neck, and every other orifice she was already covering with her green sludge. Okay. The doll felt her sliding around inside, a thick, warm flood of gelatinous substance sticking to her inner walls and forming into a unified shape, expanding throughout the doll's entire body. How does that feel? I don't know, I've never experienced something like this before. Slime started sloshing around inside, moving quickly and unexpectedly, its liquid body hitting the doll's inner walls and dripping back down into a sludge pool, fully covering her inner shell in a sticky green mucus, crawling and pulsating. And what are you doing in there? Making sure you're thoroughly clean. I don't know what it's like in here. Is that really necessary? Feeling the doll felt the sucking sensation covering her entire body, pulling her into herself from the inside. Doesn't it feel nice? Fine. And you're moving too much. Okay, let's try this. Send the doll's left arm raised up out of its slumber, moving around and bending in upward motions. Oh, see? It works. Feels perfectly like my own limb, yet, like, there's something more. Of course, there is. I'm inside of you, controlling it. I know, but it's more than just physical sensations of it. It's like this is how it's supposed to move. Is someone else controlling you? Not just that, something effortlessly, almost as a part of me, but still separate. I could watch everything go on its own, like this forever. Have you ever felt your body? The doll moved her arms awkwardly at first, started touching her own torso and legs. Yes, of course, wood all over, holding and pleasant to the touch. How about like this? Thick, rope or sludge-like appendages of green slime emerged out of the doll's joints, wrapping themselves around parts of her. Took out the plain body in a rhythmic motion. The vicious goop tied around her neck, arms, and torso, and not tightly constrained the doll in her immobile, helpless state, but embraced her. Wow. You can see what my body feels like too. The doll's hands hovered over her own chest, just barely touching the thin layer of slime, residue covering almost her entire body. She stuck her fingers into one of the slime's bulbous appendages wrapped around her torso, moving them through the thick gelatinous substance and feeling it surrounding her entire hand. And soon the fingers kneaded the slime's insides, deforming this ambiguous shape as she with her wrists and finger joints. I don't know why, that's one word that I just have issues pronouncing for some reason. Okay. As she lifted her hand up, thick ropes of green goo clung to it, tightly sticking to her fingers and connecting them to the slime's greater whole. With a violent twist of the wrist, the sticky strings tore apart and flew away in globs, splashing over her legs and mixing with the rest of the thick substance covering her. That was, enjoyable? Yes. You're moving in my body. Are you enjoying yourself? Yeah, of course. Good, that's what matters to me. Hey, I want both of us to enjoy ourselves. I'm doing this for you, too. She thrust her hand back into the slime's thick body, now feeling the entire substance. It was submerged and sucking at her fingers and surface, both the hand and the slime's liquid mass moving in parallel motions. Okay. Bulbous goop merged out of her other hand joints, entwining around her fingers and holding her tightly. She felt her whole inside bubbling. Her movements became faster and faster until they eventually slowed to let her hand rest inside the slime and gelatinous body. Okay. Let's not get up. I need to know what it feels like again. Okay. The doll slowly rolls through harsh mechanical movements, supporting her slime-ridden arms on the ground, dragging her legs across the dirt until she could finally pull them up and stand. After a moment, she was standing on her own two legs again, trembling but supported on the inside. Here we go. It's been so long. And patrol feels so natural. Should we go somewhere? Suppose it would make sense. Where to then? I don't know. Been sitting in this one spot this entire time. You know the place better than I did. I guess so. Why don't we just climb to the top of this hill? Get a good view from there. Okay. Let's go. The group squelched out of the doll's joints as she controlled by the slime inside her. Laboriously made her way up to the heap of trash, grabbing onto whatever solid object she could pull herself up. Then green liquid dripped out of her insides, trailing to her path and pulling on the ground where she had been sitting. Garbage gave out from under the doll's feet as she made her way up, clicking as it fell below, and unearthing foraging insects long hidden under the debris, obscuring deeper into the escape the blinding sunlight, and slimy drops falling from above. It's a bit more. Here we are. They stood at the peak of the hill and looked around. The dark sky encircled them, brimming with brown ash clouds. A slowly swirling storm spread out across generations. See, it's a pretty view, despite everything. You think so? Yes. Well, maybe I'll never know anything else. It's just heaps and heaps of garbage as far as the eye can see. And somehow you found me all in all of this. I did. Thank you for talking with me and for giving me the opportunity to move again and to have someone again. And I'm really glad that I met you. I'm glad I met you too. Do you think we could get out of here together? See a world beyond this place where you came from? With your body, I could take us there. We could leave this trash heap behind. I don't think there's anything there for us in the human world. We're both outcasts. Would it really be worse than this? But we found each other here. What do you propose then? I don't know. Maybe we should walk the other way, leave them behind in their world. We should decide. I want to know what you want as well, though. We're in this together now, right? I suppose so. Maybe we just lie down for a while, right here. It's been so long. Okay, let's. They all lie down atop the hill on the crumbling surface of discarded trash and forgotten garbage. I'm glad we're here, together. Me too. I really am. We went out from inside the doll's body, the slime embraced her. They laughed together until the sky turned black and was all consumed in waste dust. Well. Made by ClaymoreGwen, music by Blood Machine. Wow. That was a good one. Let's see. Well, that was the Hollow Vessel, I think that's the name of it. Game by ClaymoreGwen. It's pretty cool. Very interesting, you know. Just with, you know, the life of a doll and being unable to move, and just how one could not know much but still like have a complex thought process on their place in life, and just with how things are, but at least they have someone to sort of enjoy their existence with, so that's good. But yeah, so that's the human vessel. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And hopefully you enjoyed this game. If you want to play it for yourself, everything will be in the description below for you to do that. So yeah, with that being said, hopefully you had a good day, a good yesterday, and better tomorrow. And I will catch y'all in the next video.